What's going on YouTube? These are my two dogs, Goose and Maverick, and my current board and train, Emmy. Today we're going to talk about why you should teach stay, when to use it, and how to teach and extend your stay command. So stay tuned for that. Now, a downstay can be useful for a lot of different reasons. Starting off with the why and the when, they're kind of synonymous. A lot of times it can be a safety thing. If I need to run outside real quick and sign for a package or greet somebody who's coming into my house, and I want to make sure that Emmy doesn't think she can run out there for any reason, I can put her into a downstay before I walk outside. If I need to run out really quick, I can simply go, Emmy, down. Good girl, stay. I can walk outside. I can walk across the street. I can come out here. I can talk to people. I can sign for something, whatever I may need to do. And if I decide that Emmy can't come outside, I can call her, Emmy, okay. She can come out. She can greet the people, she can greet the dogs, whatever it may be. She can tell I'm walking back inside now. A downstay can come down to a safety thing though. A downstay can also help to build other commands, whether that's a crate command or a place command, whatever it may be. My dogs know to stay in their crate or on their place until they are released. And a lot of the ways I build a down command is the same way that I would build a crate or a place command. They know to stay in their crate or on their place for 20 minutes, 30 minutes if need be. Even if I decide to walk into the other room, they know to stay there until they are released. And when they're released, they're free to come out. Goose, okay. Totally fine, not a big deal. The other two dogs were in downstays too, but that's one other way you can use a downstay. Now, once you've really started to work on these downstay commands, you can work on some other things like down from a distance or down in motion, both of which my dogs can do great, because those things they could also come down to safety. They could also be very useful in your training, be very useful in your everyday life, especially that down in motion. If you're on a walk and you need to put your dog into a down because there's an off-leash dog coming at you, it's really useful to be able to say down, step in front of your dog, and take care of business while your dog is on their walk and not have to worry about them getting up and rushing off. Now, when we start actually actively teaching this downstay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to teach her this as I am watching a movie or hanging out with friends and family, whatever it may be. I'm going to do that while I'm teaching Emmy this downstay. So it's really just going to look like her laying on the couch next to me, or on the floor of the couch next to me, whatever it may be. So it's going to look a little bit something like this. I'm going to try to get her a little bit better in frame. Come here, Emmy. Good girl. Nope. I want you sideways. You're close. Okay, down. Good girl, yes. And when I first start this rewarding process, I'm going to reward pretty frequently. I'm going to be rewarding her every 10 to 15 seconds. So it's going to be a yes, good girl. I'm going to try to kind of keep eye contact with her to let her know that's not what I want. Come here. Good girl, yes. Now, they might offer you some different behaviors like that. That's totally fine. Don't reward for those. Wait until they go back into a down. If they decide to get up from the down, you can correct that by giving some tisks and some spatial pressure, or if you use like an for a correction word, whatever it may be, you can do that. So if she were to try to get up, I would move towards her. I would get in her space and I would give her some tisks, which would be like a good girl. Now, she thought that I was correcting her, which I'm not, but I'm going to continue to do this, continue to give her treats or this is actually just some kibble for continuing that downstay, but I'm going to start to lengthen the time between when I give it to her. So I might wait 30 seconds to a minute now until I give her another treat. And if she decides to get up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give her some of that spatial pressure, give her some tisks, and then kind of back up what I'm expecting of her. I'm never trying to push her to the point where she fails, because then she's going to get confused by what I'm asking her to do, and that's not what I'm in the business of doing. I'm not in the business of confusing dogs. I'm in the business of training dogs. So I want her to understand exactly what it is I want her to do. So I'm going to slowly extend the amount of time that I'm giving her treats in between. So it's going to look a little bit like this. I might sit here with the treat in my hand. She'll be very focused on me. I'm talking to somebody else on the couch, blah, blah, blah. And then every once in a while, I'm going to look down and say, yes, good girl, and reward. And it's eventually going to get to the point where I don't have to reward for 10 minutes. I can continue to tell her yes and give her pets. Good girl. Yes, good girl. But I don't have to give her a treat every time. But at the start, you do. For the first couple weeks that you're trying to teach this, you probably will have to. Now, we're going to talk about introducing the other two Ds. So there are 3 Ds in dog training. Duration, which is what we're doing right now. We're increasing the duration of her stay. Good girl. And then there is distance, which is the distance between me and her staying and her downstay. And there is distractions. So we're going to show how to add distractions in, and Emmy will still keep the downstay. Good girl. Yes. Now, as far as this distance goes, it may not even be actual distances at first. It might even just be something as simple as standing up. I might stand up, and if she decides to get up, I will tisk and give her some spatial pressure until she moves back into a down. But once I can tell that she's doing okay with that, I might move a little bit. I might move to this spot on the couch and then give her some rewards for staying in a downstay. Now, right now, I don't necessarily want her on her side, but since this is kind of an extended downstay, I'm not upset with her for being on her side. So it's going to start like this. Little small movements. You don't need to worry every single time I get up that you need to follow me. And after she stays down, after all these movements, I'm going to continue to treat her. I'm going to continue to reward her for staying in that downstay. Okay? It might even be me getting up and coming over to the other side of the couch. This is all right. And then I will, yes, good girl. That's a good girl. And she's staying in that downstay. Okay? And then I'm going to make some bigger movements. Okay? I'm going to try to keep her in sight at first when I'm making these bigger movements. So I still have eye contact with her. She's not looking at me right now, but if she were, I still have that eye contact. There's no reason to worry. And then I'm going to come back, yes, and reward. And if she does really good, I might even give her a couple treats, 2 or 3 treats, or pieces of kibble, whatever you want to call it, for staying in that downstay. Once I get to the point where I can make those big movements where she can see me, I'm going to go to a point where she can't see me, and I'm not going to do it for a very long time. I'm going to duck behind this wall for a second, and then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to yes and reward. Yes and reward. And it's going to be the same thing. I might duck behind that wall for 10 seconds next time. I might duck behind that wall for 30 seconds eventually. And it's the same exact principle. If she decides to get up, I'm going to tisk, give spatial pressure, and then I am going to move my expectations back a little bit. Like I said, I'm not trying to push her to the point of failure. I'm trying to teach her what she needs to do. Okay? Now, I know that I'm doing this all in one kind of short video to try to save you guys time, but this is over several days. Those first couple days are just going to be her. When I first got Emmy, she didn't know what a downstay was. It was me and her sitting on the couch for 2 days, just giving her treats. She would get up, I would give her a little bit of spatial pressure, and then I would move my expectations back a little bit. Give treats, build up that duration. Then I would, after the next 2 days, I would move around a little bit, give a little bit of distance between us. And I wasn't moving into other rooms until probably about a week of training, and only then do I start to add in the distractions. So I'll show you that. Now, when I talk about the distractions, they're not going to start as big distractions. It might start as me just grabbing a glass of water while Emmy's around me, and I put her in a downstay while I get that glass of water. So I'm going to get her up because she's laying down right now. I'm going to put her back into a downstay, and then we will show you what that kind of looks like. Come here, Emmy. Good girl. Yes, good girl. And I'm going to put her into a Emmy down. Good girl. Then I'm going to go into the fridge, grab a glass of water, and once she stays down, after I have this glass of water poured out, I'm going to yes and reward her for that. So, to not take your guys' time, I'll only fill this up about halfway, and then I'll say, good girl, Emmy, yes, and give her a reward, and then I might release her. Emmy. Yes, good girl. Good girl. A level 2 distraction might be throwing some treats on the floor in front of her. I don't want her getting up if somebody's walking past with fries on their plate and drops one on the floor. I don't want Emmy to get up and go after that fry and break her downstay. So I'm going to train for that exact situation. Now right now Emmy's in a downstay right in front of me here, and I'm going to take some treats and I'm going to put them on the floor. I'm going to throw them on the floor. And if she continues to have that stay, I am going to give her more treats than I've dropped, right? So I've just dropped 2 treats. I'm going to give her 3 because the payoff, yes, good girl, is worth the wait. Yes, very good. Very good, girl. That payoff is totally worth the wait, and it should be for her when I'm training her on these things. So we train for that kind of distraction of somebody dropping something, because that does not mean you can break your downstay. So that's kind of like a level 2 distraction. Now, a level 3 distraction would be something like other dogs or other people or cars going around. A lot of those higher distractions that are going to take a lot of your dog's attention. For you, it may be squirrels. Goose has a big problem with squirrels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to expose Emmy to those types of distractions that might happen out in the real world in a more controlled environment. For me, that's a little bit easier. I have 2 dogs. It's easy for me to get her out here in the backyard, put her in a downstay, and let the other dogs run around. But for you, it might be a little bit more difficult. You might have to go out and get a 25-foot long leash, take your dog out in the front yard, let them watch people run past, watch cars drive past, watch squirrels run around while they're in that downstay, but you still have full control of the situation. So for me, it might look something like this, and maybe for you as well. Emmy, come. Good girl. Hey, come. All the way. Emmy, come. Yes, good girl. So now that she's all the way to me, I might put her in that. Emmy, down. Yes, good girl. And I'm going to leave her in this down for a little while I do some yard work. I might pick up sticks. The other dogs might run around a little bit. And if she decides to get up, I'm going to correct that, because she doesn't get to get up until I let her. Now, I'm not doing this to torture her. I'm doing this mainly for her safety, but also so that I know that I have control of the situation if I want to take her out off leash. I take my dogs out off leash all the time. But if I don't know that I have full control over her and that she's going to listen to me when I call her, she's going to listen to me when I put her in a downstay, then I have absolutely no reason to take her outside off leash and let her run around like a dog should. So that's a great reason to teach your dog a downstay. But for now, we're going to work on this a little bit with Emmy. You guys go work on it with your dogs. If you guys have any questions about downstays or any other commands, leave them in the comments. If you're interested in getting your dog boarded with me, I go to my website in the bio. But for today, that's about it. Happy training.